Welcome to the MMA Outsiders. This is the episode after Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje, which we will just refer to as what are we going to call this event? I want to have like an AD, like after Justin. It is going to be ADJ.
We could do.
We'll workshop.
What about concussion? Concussion 2018.
We just need a marker to make this event. Like there's a before and after, and there's no going back.
CTE 2018. What do you want to? I don't know what you want to call it.
I don't think you're grasping my vision here, AJ.
Okay, I thought we were making an event.
Measure all time as like leading up to Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier, and then after Justin Gaethje versus Justin Poirier. Like before the Common Era, after the Common Era, before Christ, after Christ.
Okay, so before the fight, it was dehydration 2018, and then after the fight, concussion 2018. Right.
So we'll just move on to discussing it. So this was, it's got to be the fight of the year. It's
right. Yes.
If another fight happens in 2018 that is better than this, then we're very blessed because this was violence from the gods themselves.
Very, very much so. I would contend that that Yancey and Cowboy that was also could be in the rankings of best fight of the year. That could that was a crazy fight as well.
Was that this year?
Yeah.
Was UFC 218 in 2018?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. Man, time is.
When did Matt? It was when Max fought Jose the second time.
I thought that was at the end of last year.
Maybe it was. I don't know, dude. My time in Texas just blends together. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. But yeah. That was the same. That fight card was the same one where
Ngannou knocked out Alistair.
Yeah, but also Eddie Alvarez fought Justin Gaethje.
Yep, that was the same card because that was the fight that was supposed to be the barn burner, and then Yancey and Cowboy ended up being the better fight of the night, in my opinion.
It was definitely the crazier fight of the night. They both happened the same night.
Exactly, and that was the crazy thing because I think that it was 27. Okay, I think that if Eddie and Justin had fought and Yancey and Cowboy, if that hadn't been as exciting, I think we would have been, whoa, that was one of the greatest fights of the year. But because Yancey and Cowboy's Oliveira's fight was so crazy that it just was whoa. Follow that, guys. It's kind of like if I'm on stage and I have to follow like Steve Vai or some shit like that. That's a tough order.
I don't know who that is, but
he's a really good guitar player. Anyways,
I assume that he's a really good guitar player, but yeah.
Anyways,
I still don't know who it is. But yeah, so this, has to be the best fight of either guy's career, right? They both had insane fights. But all the way to the fourth round, and then to get the KO in the fourth round, or at least the TKO, that was insane. Gaethje was riding his strategy was to kick the leg at every opportunity, and it was almost working. It was like he's now lost 2 in a row where he's been a razor's edge from winning by leg kick TKO.
And you know what? That he said that when he came to the UFC, he said, I plan on probably getting knocked out because of the way he fights, and he's there. He likes to brawl. I heard some commentary about when he was getting rocked. I can't remember who it was. I think it was DC at the end. Is either DC or Kenny saying Justin Gaethje, an All-American wrestler.
That was DC.
It was DC, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, an All-American wrestler still didn't clinch and still wanted to brawl. And I'm like, well, dude, he probably is out of his mind right now. I don't think it really matters. But yeah, that is kind of interesting.
When he got rocked, when Poirier threw like the perfect counter to the inside leg kick and rocked him,
Yeah.
I didn't notice this watching it live, but on the replay, he waves him on. He like puts his hands up like, "Come on, motherfucker."
Oh yeah,
Poirier,
he's absolutely insane. Like he wants to fight. Yeah, no, he's a crazy guy.
it's like it's almost unfair that his legs betrayed him.
Yeah, I know. Well,
nervous system won't do what he wants it to do.
Everybody knows his game plan. Like, and he's not somebody that is like hiding anything. He said he was in there the last time when he fought Eddie, kicking legs, chopping the tree down. And he's wanting to brawl. He tells everybody, this is going to be an exciting fight. I'm there to fight. I'm not there to, be hesitant and do all this other bullshit. I'm there to brawl.
He also rocked Dustin Poirier in the third round. And I mean, like you almost had this sense of coming inevitability that Gaethje was gonna win this. At several points in the fight. And Poirier, to his credit, man, like at the end of the second round when Gaethje like threw that rolling thunder kick, he just kind of put his hands on his knees and just stayed there for a second.
Right.
After the end of the round.
That was pretty entertaining.
And he just came out and just did the damn thing, man. Like he just kept throwing, and like Poirier is he's the kind of guy that the term heavy hands was designed for, man. Like everything he throws moves his opponent. Like you can it's like visible power. You can see it like through the skin of the opponent when he punches them. Like if it was slow motion, and Gaethje, man, Gaethje just shells up and just takes those combinations, and I don't know, man. That was an amazing fight.
But when you go ahead, sorry.
Well, it makes me disappointed a little bit because I think Gaethje is a much better matchup for Khabib Nurmagomedov than Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Only because of mostly because of his footwork, also because of his wrestling. But his footwork, he doesn't get pushed back to the cage. He had Poirier backed up to the fence.
Because he's pushing forward the whole time.
The problem with Gaethje's style is that, he chops the leg down, but then he puts himself right in the pocket so they can just stand on it and they don't have to, you know what I mean? So I know. Try to close distance on that leg. They can just literally plant it and just throw at him. So
he doesn't really set it up a lot of times either. He kind of throws it, or he'll throw a jab out, kind of a sloppy jab, and then throw it.
They often. I wonder too. Like I think so. Gaethje wears glasses, right? Like I don't think
he's got really bad eyes.
Yeah. I do wonder how that affects his ability to see things coming.
You know what? I can tell you, I have really bad eyes too. I have 2600 vision, and I would spar without contacts sometimes and glasses, and even jiu-jitsu is a little bit different because you can kind of feel a little bit more. But when you're boxing or any kind of striking sparring, it doesn't affect it as much if you have the muscle memory down of what you're going to do. So like, I practice my head movement quite a bit, and you can still see in a way, but it's just real blurry. That's it. You can still see. It's not like
are you like catching the twitches, like the fast twitch anticipation?
Well, yeah, like you can. Again, it depends on who you're sparring with. Like if you're sparring with somebody that's really good, it doesn't really fucking matter if you can see or not. But if you just stick to the basics, and I mean he's put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice. At that point, it's about you can kind of judge distance, and it's not necessarily just a vision thing, but it's also like a what's that called? Whenever you depth perception, things like that. You can kind of judge where the guy's standing and where he's going to throw. You can, if I don't know how bad his eyes are, but I know I can tell the way somebody's standing if we're boxing what they're going to throw, and which you know what I mean. And basic things like try not to stick to the outside punch. Shit like that, it doesn't really. It's not like you're blind,
Yeah, I mean, I think for Gagey, like again, the big thing is like his arms are shorter, and he has to stand in the pocket to win.
Yeah.
And like that's what his style is. Like you said, he said it himself. But now that he's lost kind of two really close fights in a row, but still he's lost two in a row. What do you see next for Justin Gaethje? I mean, like, do you want him to fight someone who's not such a hitter? Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier in the pocket; those guys are animals.
Yeah. Well, he's on two losses. This is gonna sound kind of weird. I wouldn't say. Man, what about Al or Felder? What do you think? One of those guys.
I want him to fight the loser of next week's main event between Edson Barboza and Kevin Lee, because the loser of that bout would also be on a 2-fight losing streak, but also still relevant in the top 10. And also, neither one of those guys is a massive hitter. Kevin Lee can punch.
Yeah.
Edson Barboza can kick, but I feel like there would be Kevin Lee would probably take more of a wrestling heavy approach, which I think would be like a good change to see Justin Gaethje wrestle, and also kind of gauge whether how good Gaethje it really is at wrestling, whether he can fend off like.
I would like to see
he would be fending off on like Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, I would rather see
just a leg kick battle.
Right, I would rather see him fight Kevin Lee. I think it'd be a little bit more exciting than the Edson fight. I don't know how well he matches up with Edson. I mean, that's kind of been, from what I understand, Edson's takedown defense is really good too. I don't know if he would try to wrestle him or not, but obviously the striking battle would be a little bit different. I think it would. I don't know if it would be as technical, or if he would push Edson to brawl with him. If he'd push him to play his game, I don't know.
I mean, Edson's a little bit allergic to pressure. We saw that. So he'd probably force him back to the cage, and I think it's a good matchup for Gaethje in that sense. I mean, Edson deals with it better. He throws nice punches and combinations.
Right.
But, I don't know. The other option for Gaethje is like just take a break, man.
Yeah, I don't know. He's such like a, you have those guys that kind of get by on athleticism, and then you have those dudes that are just like born to fight. I think he's one of those. He's just he's just a beast. Always wants to fight. Cowboys.
He brings out the best in his opponents too. Like,
I
mean, Eddie Alvarez came in with like a 34 resting heart rate, like in the best shape of his career. And it's hard to argue. Like Dustin Poirier had to have been in the best shape of his career too. Because
you wonder though, like when you see these guys fight, and you see how big of a warrior they are, and how tough they are, and then you think about, okay, Dustin Poirier fought Conor, Eddie fought Conor, and you wonder how that is, because you see these guys fight and you see them put it all in. And then you see them get knocked out in the first round or the second round or whatever by this guy who's always people kind of put him in the category of being more of an underdog in most of his fights.
Who, McGregor?
Yeah, and it's just funny to think about that.
I mean, against Poirier, I think he was an underdog, or it might have been.
He was an underdog against Poirier and Eddie.
I think he was the favorite in that fight too, all the way back.
And Eddie, popular vote, or like amongst like the fighting community?
No, I'm talking about the odds, which is the popular vote.
I'm talking about commentary from like fighters, not Joe Schmo sitting on the couch kind of thing. I'm talking about like not like Las Vegas odds. I'm talking about just listening to people talk. Most of the commentary was always, well, Eddie's a really good wrestler. He's a brawler. He's tough. He'll bite down his mouthpiece and just go forward. And Dustin's, he's had more fights in the octagon. He's more experienced. That kind of shit.
There's actually one thing I find impressive about Dustin is that he said it himself after the fight. Like, he's gotten knocked out. He's come back in two different divisions now.
Yes.
Because I mean, Dustin's kryptonite is really quick strikers with good timing.
Right.
And those Michael Johnson timed him coming in perfectly.
Yeah.
And that, of course, that was Conor McGregor too. McGregor caught him with that kind of a weird shot. And with, as far as Eddie Alvarez goes, Eddie Alvarez is his weakness is guys who can fight longer than he can.
Yeah.
So McGregor set up this long distance, and we tried to collapse the distance by rushing in. McGregor just timed the counters perfectly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that right there. It's just funny how to think about how McGregor's still a good fighter. Like he's really good, but he's very smart, and he's very good about playing his game. So that's what I'm saying. It's just interesting to see the two different fights and just think, man, that wasn't that long ago, and these guys are warriors. These guys are so tough.
It's definitely a case of styles make fights.
Exactly.
Because I mean, and we can talk about this with Poirier versus Nurmagomedov too, but his big strength is his hands. I mean, he throws great punches in combination, and I think his biggest weakness historically has been his feet. They're a little bit slower. He's just not as light on his feet as someone like McGregor or some of these guys who are more comfortable moving all the time. And I think the same goes for Eddie Alvarez as well. I mean, Eddie looked like a monster in that fight with Keith.
Right.
And in the fight with Poirier, you kind of saw Poirier fighting long. Poirier fought long and kind of rocked him. And then when he got into the pocket to try to knock him out, that's where Eddie came back and and rocked him in return. So I mean, it is all mostly about style matchups, I think, with those guys. And and in terms of style matchups, who do you see as having the best chance to fight Khabib? Because I would say Eddie probably has a better chance, but Poirier has definitely done more to earn it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I could see Poirier. I could definitely see Poirier having a striking advantage, but obviously, it's really hard to say with the grappling because it just depends on the game plan. It depends on where Khabib keeps the fight ultimately. Man, I mean, he's such a good. Once he gets you down, dude, it's you're down for a while till the round ends. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd have to really pay attention.
I mean, there's
for that one.
The only, I don't know, man. If Poirier couldn't kind of stay off the cage against Gaethje, I don't think. I mean, like even Anthony Pettis was kind of able to pressure him at points backwards.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to see Khabib not taking advantage of that and just.
So that's what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Khabib, he played Khabib's game, and which is most likely. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. But Eddie, yeah, I mean, I could see that. But I can also see, Eddie rushing in and Khabib ducking, clinching, and taking him down too. It just depends.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think Khabib would have to be favored against either guy. But
Right.
I mean, Eddie has really good movement on the outside. He circles very well. He's got big power, and he's got the wrestling. He's a really good wrestler. And we've seen that we haven't seen that so much recently, but in fights with like Michael Chandler, he was able to kind of neutralize a powerful wrestler over 5 rounds. The only remaining question kind of about Khabib is whether he can wrestle for 5 and whether his kind of his striking is a little herky-jerky, whether that ends up costing him. Because he took 2.5 rounds off against Al Iaquinta to just pop him with the jab, and it worked. Al couldn't get anything going, even when he landed a couple punches, but like he was just soundly outstruck on the feet, which was kind of wild. I think Poirier's advantage, or someone like Tony Ferguson's advantage, in that scenario would be like they would really come after him. I mean, he saw Poirier throwing like 8 punch combinations against Justin Gaethje.
Right.
And guys get discouraged after 4, and he just kept throwing.
Yeah.
He's got really good cardio. So, I mean, and Poirier has a legit ground game, too. So, I mean, if he gets taken down, he's got a really good chance of surviving. He's got a pretty good card. He's got, like, a good triangle choke. We haven't seen that stuff in a while from him.
Yeah.
Usually on the offensive.
Right.
but if he does get taken down, like he's far from helpless, and there's a chance that he could survive into the later rounds, and then when Khabib couldn't just wrestle him anymore, he could come after him and he could hurt him.
Yeah,
not likely, but it's a possibility.
Possible, yeah, very possible.
Yeah, for Eddie, I think that the chance is more that he sticks and moves. He's got an excellent jab of his own. He's got those body punches that he wore Justin Gaethje out with. The mechanics of those, by the way, is hard. Dustin Poirier was trying to throw body punches, and you could see it was just awkward for him. So it's something that Eddie Alvarez is really good at, and it might be that would be a good tool to use against Khabib. But with Tony Ferguson out via injury, McGregor, I don't know, man. I'm just not gambling on McGregor coming back at any point.
Yeah, if he does, I mean, I think
he will come back at some point, but I just don't know when. Is he gonna? The fight against Khabib would do probably close to 2 million pay-per-view buys. That would be a huge fight. I think Khabib is the kind of fighter who would be a perfect foil for Conor McGregor in terms of trash talk, in terms of you get this multicultural brew of like crazy Irish guys versus crazy Russian Dagestani guys.
You can see Khabib just like unleash all his anger out on Conor in the octagon.
Khabib would just laugh at him the whole time. I don't think Khabib has anger. McGregor.
What I mean by anger is like whatever
trash talk the chicken.
He's obviously very stoic, but I'm sure that Conor McGregor is just. I'm sure it doesn't bother him at all, but I think if he had the chance to get his hands on him, I think he would just unleash fucking wrath on him, especially in the street. You know what I mean? He's just like, fuck it, let's fight.
Yeah, man. Khabib is just unintimidated, which again is like the perfect foil for someone like Conor McGregor. And he's too. And it's also almost the perfect stylistic clash. Although someone pointed out that fight would probably not be entertaining. It would either be McGregor knocking him out or Khabib just wrecking him for 5
mauling him. Yeah. And Conor gasses too, and to be on the bottom of that for 5 rounds, I mean, holy shit! If that's what would happen, which is likely.
Yeah, for real, man. So I mean, the lightweight division is an interesting place, but the best
is, man.
in the UFC, hands down. And we've got a fight next week, which I wanted to talk about briefly while we're still on the lightweight.
Yeah.
Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think wins that fight?
Ooh, I want to go with Kevin Lee. I think. I don't know, dude. Actually, I don't know. I just thought about it. Are we talking leg kick Barboza?
Man, we're talking whatever version of Barboza shows up.
Okay. I think Barboza has the potential to outpoint him, and Kevin has the potential to end the fight quickly. But I don't know. I would like to see Kevin Lee win. I would like to see him back in title contention again. But I'd also like to see Barboza in title contention. But, as we saw last time with Khabib, it's kind of, unless his game plan changes or whatever, it's not likely that he's going to be champion while Khabib is holding the title. But I'm going to go with Kevin Lee on that one. I say Kevin Lee. I'd say Kevin Lee submission.
Yeah,
go with that.
I think that's possible. I think really we're going to see just how good Khabib Nurmagomedov's wrestling is in relation to someone like Kevin Lee. Because Kevin Lee's extremely athletic. I think his wrestling is really good. Which again, Kevin Lee would actually be an interesting fight. He wanted to fight Khabib. He's one of the only guys who were calling him out, and he's been calling him out for years now. But yeah, we're gonna see just how good Kevin Lee is. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
If he is as good as he says he is, he should beat Edson Barboza. But man, Edson's really good. It's a 5-round fight. I'm gonna go with Kevin Lee. I think he will find a way to wrestle him and get control on the ground. But I mean, Edson's also really good, man. I don't know. I'm curious how this fight plays out.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a top top 5 fight.
There's just no bad matchups at lightweight.
Right. It's really yeah, exactly. And everybody at lightweight's like really fucking good, especially if they're in the top 5 or top 10.
Exactly right. I mean,
It's
like
hard
you
to call.
close your eyes and throw a dart at the lightweight rankings,
Right.
and you're gonna find a great matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so um, let's spare some words for the other fights on this card. Carlos Condit versus Alex Oliveira. Did you see that fight?
Yeah, man, that was wild. He got rocked on an up kick.
Yeah,
Wild.
they kept saying it was illegal, and I don't think it was illegal.
Uh-uh.
It was perfectly legal up kick, and yeah, he seemed like he got rocked a little bit. Maybe it's hard to tell, but he went for the double leg, which he had been going for. He had Carlos Condit enough had been landing the double leg, um, and Alex Oliveira grabbed onto that guillotine and just held and held and held and held until he passed out. But that was actually, and not passed out, but tapped out. But that was actually a good way to lose, if that makes sense, for Carlos Condit, because I was worried that he was going to get just clocked and just get his bell rung again. And I mean, no one wants to see that, especially from a guy who's been through. I mean, talk about a guy who's been through wars. Carlos Condit had some wars, man, and his chin held up pretty much until. I mean, he didn't go out cold, but like Damian Maia kind of rocked him on the ground, and that's when he kind of took a break. But yeah, man. Actually,
he's never been knocked out. I don't think in any of his.
No, he's been tapped, but he hasn't gone out to strike. I don't think
he's been tapped five times and 6 decision losses. But his one TKO loss was from Tyron Woodley. It wasn't really from him, but it was because he hurt his knee.
Oh, because he hurt his knee. He jacked up his knee. That's right. So. I mean, hey, if Carlos Condit can have a career that took as much damage as he did, maybe there is hope for Justin Gaethje. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Carlos has got a very, very, very nice record, but he's on a 4-fight losing streak. I mean, and they're not against terrible fighters. You know, the first one being Robbie Lawler for the championship.
Arguably won that.
Yeah, arguably won that as a split. Damian Maia, he got submitted, which is nothing to hang your hat on, obviously. Neil Magny, he got outpointed, I guess, on the judges' scorecards, and then last night against Cowboy Oliveira, who's a tough fighter, he's a tough motherfucker.
So I mean, at this point, I mean, obviously it's his own decision to make 100%, but do you think he should retire? Do you think he should?
Hell no, he's still doing good. I think that.
This was a back and forth fight. Like I don't think he was. He was winning.
I don't think he's not looking like some people after a while, but he's still he's still got it. I was just kind of disappointed because what was supposed to happen was him and Matt Brown.
I know.
And, Matt Brown had to pull out. I would still like to see that fight, and he didn't get knocked out. He's not in any kind of he's not going to be compromised physically because of any kind of concussions or anything like that. So I think he could still fight in the near future if Matt Brown was willing and healthy. I still think that would be a fight that everybody would want to see. So hopefully that would be something that would be next for him.
Yeah, I would
rebook that.
I would love to see the fight made again. I just hope it's not one of those cursed fights.
Yeah, I mean, like fucking Khabib and Tony, which I'm still wanting to see.
I know they got to make it for the 5th time. Which is wild to me. But I mean, this is why I was amazed and happy that Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje actually happened, because it was one of those fights that was like too good to be true.
Yeah.
And it actually went down. And then we had a hot prospect, Israel Adesanya, went to his first decision. It's a split decision. It should have been a unanimous decision, but I could see it. I could see why it was a split, I guess, with Marvin Vettori. Adesanya kind of took his time to gauge what was being thrown at him. He kind of turned it up a little bit in the second. And in the third round, Vettori took him down and kind of controlled him for a large portion of the round. So it's one of those fights that makes it pretty clear Adesanya still has a lot to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, he's clearly a much better striker. He pieced Roy up on the feet. He landed a nice elbow. I think the thing for Adesanya going forward is going to be he is a kind of relaxed striker, kind of laid back.
Yeah.
And Vittoria was really trying to put on the pressure and throw punches and bunches. And if someone does that has got more power, is better as a better striker, someone like, I don't know, Kelvin Gastelum or Robert Whitaker, when you start getting up near the top of the division, it could be problems for him. So he's got to figure out a way to generate more consistent offense.
Yeah.
While keeping what makes him good, which is that really fluid movement. He's very, very calm. Like even when he was getting punched, like he's just very composed. He's kind of getting caught on the end of Vittoria's shots a little bit. None of them looked like they hurt him or did a lot of damage. And he avoided the takedown very well in the first couple rounds too. It wasn't until the third round came and Vittoria started to have more success getting in on his hips. I mean, like even earlier on, Vittoria like had the clinch, he had over unders, but like the almost a body lock with how tight he had his hands locked, trying to get the inside trip, and he just couldn't get it. Adesanya has pretty good balance, but yeah, I mean, I think it was I think it was a good learning experience for Adesanya. And I'm excited to see where he goes. I don't think they should be ramping up the competition for him. Just keep taking kind of the slow roll. Keep letting him
make him a what do you call it? Journeyman, or kind of build him up.
Let him fight journeyman. Let him fight journeyman, and until he kind of has some more experience under his belt. He wanted to get right back in the cage after this fight. He wasn't happy with himself. I think that's a great idea. Just throw him back in there. Let him keep building his experience against kind of the lower end of the roster, and kind of see where he can go, because there's clearly holes in his game. But we've seen fighters clear up those holes. I mean, Stephen Thompson lost his second UFC fight against the guy who was supposed to be a journeyman, and Matt Brown, and ended up like going on a 7-fight winning streak.
Right.
But like
that. He because he was in the Matt Brown was in the Ultimate Fighter. He was that was kind of like his second win or whatever when he started when he had that winning streak.
He really You're right, and it was one of those situations where a fighter just figures out the style that best goes with their natural attributes and just pushes it to the max. And for Matt Brown, that was that was the pressure fighting. Adesanya, I think, has already found himself as a striker, obviously after 57 kickboxing fights.
Yeah.
And he has like 7 boxing fights as well. But I think it's just a matter of continuing to adapt it for MMA, and also working on the other aspects, obviously, like the takedown defense, and also the cardio to some extent. Like he wasn't tired, like he wasn't more tired than Vettori at the end of the fight. But I mean, like it was 3 rounds, and he clearly had. The pace of the fight had taken something out of him. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's clearly a very talented prospect. I can't wait to see him fight again. Like some of the stuff he does in the cage is unbelievable. I just think it's just a matter of honing his skill set. And then the opening fight of the card was Michelle Waterson versus Courtney Casey. That was fun. Did you see that one?
I did not see that one.
That was a back and forth battle. Waterson won it via split decision. I honestly didn't know who had won it after 3 rounds. It was pretty close. Waterson probably justifiably takes it, but she got a lot of submission attempts and managed to work her way free of most of them. And really, I guess it comes down to how you score submission attempts, because some of them seem pretty close. Like at the very end, Waterson shot in, and she had been landing takedowns pretty reliably, and she got stuffed, and Casey stuffed the takedown, got to her back, and she was turtled up, and Casey took her back, and then went for the armbar, broke her grip, had her arm like partially extended when the bell rung. Like it was really close. And so I mean, both fighters kind of really left it in the cage. Waterson was still breathing heavily in the post-fight speech, like She would say 2 words and then take a breath, and then say 2 words,
Wow.
take a breath. But I mean, it was good to see her get a win. And it was one of those fights. Like it was fun, man. Like this is it was a fun night. Like you have the Justin Gagey Dustin Poirier kind of fight, where it's just all head trauma, violence, and just legs getting battered.
Right.
And then you have the kind of fight that Michelle Watterson and Courtney Casey had, which was mostly grappling, a lot of submission attempts. It was pretty technical, and you had different aspects of MMA being shown off. And I think that's like the beauty of the sport, where you have 2 fights that look completely different, but they're both highly entertaining, and they both show fighters push to their limit, which is that to me is one of the things that makes it the hallmark of a great fight.
Wow. Yeah, Michelle Watterson, she was in what, Invicta, right? She was in Invicta.
Yeah, she was the atomweight champion for.
That's right.
And so she's small for this weight class, and you can see it versus Courtney Casey. But she uses she has a really good knowledge in the clinch, so she uses her underhooks very well. She controlled Casey for using the underhooks pretty well for portions of the fight. Whenever it did go to the clinch, Watterson actually had more success.
Yeah,
pretty cool. But yeah, man. And then I guess the other fights on the card, Shoeface choked out Tim Boach, some guy named Tim Boach.
Some guy, yeah. You mean the best fighter ever?
The Barbarian.
Tim, the Barbarian Lumberjack.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't see that fight. I didn't see any of the prelims on this card.
It was within 30 seconds. You know.
I mean,
a minute.
Did Shoeface take him down and then choke him out?
Oh wait, sorry. It was hit 30 seconds left to go in the fight.
But yeah, did you watch this one? Did Shoeface take him?
No, I saw the highlights. I had a hard time getting Fox Sports 1 last night for some reason.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I'm not sure how it happened, but Antonio Carlos Jr., I think that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Shoeface is his nickname, but and that's how I refer to him. But yeah, so he's won like 4 fights in a row now, 4 or 5 fights in a row. He's definitely earned a step up at middleweight. He's a really, really, really good submission artist. So there's no shame in your boy Tim Boach tapping out to him.
That's all right. He'll come back.
Tim Boach, always mounting a comeback.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he deserves a step up in competition. It's always good to see submission artists too. Like we like the stand-up fights, but those guys are fun as well.
Yeah.
So what definitely should not happen is matching Adesanya up with someone like that next.
Oh, absolutely. Tim Boach is a he walks around at like heavyweight, right? And he cuts to middleweight.
Probably. Most of those guys do, though. I mean, most of those guys walk around above 205 pounds and cut to.
No, he's like 220 something, right?
Yeah, but Tim Kennedy was too. I mean,
yeah, Tim Kennedy. What I never understood about Tim Kennedy, he wasn't like fat. Well, Tim Kennedy was like when he was 220. He was like still kind of lean, right? So how do you cut that?
Like the same way you cut. I mean, you cut the water weight. That's basically what it is.
So he's carrying that much water.
Yeah, man.
Well, I guess Anthony Johnson. I mean, he wasn't really that fat either, but he used to cut like 80 pounds or something.
Something like that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and they wouldn't let Max Holloway cut like 20 pounds. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Silly.
How do you see? I'm gonna go back to the Gagey fight before we wrap up. But how do you see Gagey? How do you see Gagey matching up with like the rest of the top 10? Because he's lost now to Poirier and Alvarez, and both those guys put on a fight of their lives to beat him.
Yeah.
And both of them pretty hard matchups, like especially with Eddie throwing those body shots, which that was a weapon we didn't really see from him before. And Poirier just 8-punch combinations and just not getting tired. What I mean, how do you see him matching up with the rest of the lightweight
Um,
top 10? Do you see him getting a couple more wins? Do you see? I mean, do you think his chin's gone at this point?
no, I don't think his chin's gone at all. He'd have been knocked out. I think you notice him getting knocked out or rocked in, finished. The last two fights he got finished were in later rounds. So I mean, obviously, I think exhaustion has part to do with that as well.
Yeah,
and the accumulation of punches.
This is the attritive effect. I do think the eye poke, man, like his lead eye had was cut like in the first opening part of the fight. I think
right
where he jabbed his face and cut open his eye. He couldn't see really well out of that eye. And then Poirier poked him in the other eye, so his like he was still blinking at the start of the fourth round. And I do wonder if like his inability to see it coming was really what did it. I don't
part
know.
of it, yeah.
Speculate.
I mean, he already has bad eyes, and then he can't see.
Yeah.
As well, So I could see him. Obviously, it just depends on who he's fighting. I don't how he does against somebody like Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee. I don't know. I could see. It's hard to say. I mean, he is obviously a very talented fighter, and he's there for a reason, and he's already in the top 10 for a reason.
What about like Anthony Pettis?
I could see him beating Anthony Pettis.
I think he would.
You don't think so?
I think he would. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he could beat Anthony Pettis. The only thing is, if the thing with Pettis is he's on a what? When was his last win?
I think Pettis was.
Yeah.
Against Jim Miller.
Yeah, that was 2 fights ago. So, I could see. It just depends on what kind of fight. Game plan. If you play his game, stop. He's not going to stop fighting, and he's going to pressure. He's going to pressure. Anthony does backpedal quite a bit, especially against anybody trying. We saw his face. Dos Anjos pushed him against the cage, took him down. Did Poirier take him down?
Yeah, Poirier took him down repeatedly. I think that's. I mean, regardless of whether he takes him down, I think Gaethje, unless Pettis like lands a shot and somehow,
yeah.
Gaethje's chin has suffered a little bit. I mean, it's hard to see him losing that because I mean. This is the thing. A couple of these guys in the top 10 are a little bit allergic to pressure. Pettis is like probably the most obvious example. He can't pivot to save his life.
Yeah.
But Edson Barboza, to some degree, I mean, you can. I mean, his flying knee knockout of what's his name? Who's the guy with the flying knee knockout?
Wait, flying knee knockout like years ago?
No, recently. He had the flying knee knockout against Beneil Dariush. But Beneil was winning that fight. Beneil was like cutting off the cage and landing his boxing combinations. And I don't know, man. Like I could see Gaethje doing the same thing. So that would be interesting. And then Kevin Lee, I don't know. I actually don't know how to pick that one because Lee's such a different fighter and also brings the wrestling, which we have.
Oh, it was Edson. Edson knocked him out with flying.
That's what I said, right?
Oh, I thought you said no. You said you couldn't remember.
No, I'm saying I was saying to some extent, Edson Barboza was the pressure. Even though he got the flying knee knockout over Beneil Dariush,
yes,
he was losing that fight up till then. So I mean, there's a couple guys in this division that I think Gaethje matches up really well with.
Yes.
Those are the guys I'd actually like to see him against because I like Gaethje and I want him to win. So.
Yeah, me too. I really hope he gets a good matchup next time. But I think he's just such a beast because he doesn't care who he fights in a way, and he knows the risks, and he's just like, no, man, I'm here to fight. And so he has a good game plan, and if he can bait people into playing his game, he definitely has an advantage.
He's really good
So
at getting people to play his game. The question
yes,
is like, is you have to like. I think that's
you
why.
have to out chin him sometimes, and that's kind of what happened past
Yeah,
couple fights.
basically,
Yeah.
you have to outlast him. You have to out cardio him. You have to out chin him. I mean, Michael Johnson has a great fucking chin, and
Yes.
it didn't matter.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was just your will to fight has to never stop. And Eddie
Exactly.
Alvarez said even like there's points where he was questioning himself, and I think Poirier is the same thing. Like he just AG asks really tough questions, and I think only the top guys can answer those questions.
Right. Right.
But all right, well, I think that's a pretty good place to say goodbye for this week. We'll be back next week to talk about Edson Barbosa versus Kevin Lee, the winner of that fight, loser of that fight, and what it says about them in the lightweight title picture, or just the lightweight top 10. But Dustin Poirier definitely earned a fight with the Khabib Nurmagomedov. We'll see if he gets that fight. Man, it's just I would watch Poirier versus Ferguson all day, any day of the week.
I say that they. I don't think they're going to book Ferguson right away.
No,
Against
I know.
which they should. They should.
I'm just making a comment on Ferguson obviously is out via knee injury, but like I was just making a comment on it's rough for Poirier that Khabib happens to be the champion right when he gets to the top. Because I think
it's rough. Yeah, that's true. That's rough, but I think it's rough for anybody because Khabib has the belt, man. I mean, that's a scary situation.
But I mean, for maybe not so much for just someone like Justin Gaethje, who is a Division I All-American wrestler and like has kind of a.
I think that doesn't matter though because it's just a different thing. Like I mean, these guys are free. Obviously, if you're good at grappling, you're good at grappling. But I mean, it's you see. I think Khabib could screw up a bunch of freestyle wrestlers. I mean, he
definitely could.
Specifically freestyle guys. Yeah, but no, you're right. It sucks. Like it does suck.
In particular for Dustin Poirier, it's a problematic matchup. Like Poirier would do really well. I mean, look at any of these guys, even Conor McGregor. Like I'll want a rematch. But
yeah,
Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson, like any of these top guys,
right?
It's just Khabib is just a unique challenge for him.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll find out. Hopefully we get a chance to find out because he definitely done enough to earn it. I'd love to see Dustin Poirier get a title shot. Guy's never in a boring fight. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I would like to see if anything, have a title contention thing. I think Al should have at least one. I don't know about 2 more fights, but if he had another fight and he won that one, I would say rematch with Khabib, man, because that was
no way.
You don't think so?
It wasn't even close, dude. That was like one of the most lopsided fights in UFC history.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, like, he did. I mean, he went 5 rounds. I think it would be kind of like cool to see in a couple fights if he gets a rematch. I mean.
No, man.
I think that would be.
But no.
You don't think so, man? No, I would love to see that.
I would like to
see how good he would do if he actually prepared. I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, he did. I was surprised that he didn't get. He obviously got mauled the first few rounds, but I was surprised he didn't finish.
He got jabbed. Like he got jabbed to death.
Yeah, but yeah, you don't think he could beat him if he prepared?
No.
Never. Not in any situation.
In 100 possible versions of reality, maybe one.
Damn, that sucks.
He wasn't even trying. You know what I mean? Like he was literally just jabbing his face for
the last few rounds because he was tired.
What?
The first few rounds, he tried to finish him. He couldn't do it. Hell yeah, he was tired. He tried to finish him. He couldn't get him. He couldn't get his back.
At will in the 5th round. We don't know he was tired. We just know that he just decided not to wrestle. He wasn't pushed. My point is he wasn't pushed. He wasn't stretched. You don't know. You don't have an answer. I don't think he can wrestle for all 5 rounds. I think like he probably needs to take a round or 2 to strike. But I mean, clearly Al wasn't the guy to push him.
No. I'd still like to see it again just for the hell of it. I don't know. I was pretty surprised that he lasted that long. But yeah, I think
for hanging in there.
But you know what? I think Dustin should definitely get a if not like a number one contender fight next, which is ridiculous. He should get a title fight. It just depends on what the UFC and WMA want to do. What's going to bring the box office hits, I guess.
I think it's basically going to depend on how soon McGregor comes back. If McGregor
could be.
You don't think McGregor's fighting?
There's no way. Hell no. Dude. I mean, he might.
I mean, if not, then what is the fight to make?
A 4-ounce boxing match in the cage with clinches against Floyd Mayweather. Dude, did you hear about that? Somebody made a rumor about that. And
yeah, of course. Stupid about that, man. Like that was.
Yeah. But I was laughing because I think we had talked about that. Like, I would love to see boxing with small gloves, but I don't think that'll happen.
It would be kind of intriguing, but like you take away all his other tools, it's like, I mean, unless his power is notably different, or it changes the way he's able to.
If they would allow it, if the rumor was true, which probably isn't, if they would allow a clinch battle, I mean that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to give space to that stupid rumor.
No, but yeah, if Khabib, I think that would solidify the championship, and then all he'd have to do is fight Tony if Khabib won, or vice versa. It's kind of strange because a lot of people. Well, I think Khabib's the real champion because obviously he's. I don't think he's a paper champ because he could definitely. He's been dominating. He could dominate these guys just as easily.
I mean, he hopefully gets the chance to prove it. That's what I want to see.
Exactly.
I just want to see a lightweight champion who actually fights.
Exactly. So anyway, all right.
Well, thank you for tuning into the MMA Outsiders. AJ, where can the people find you?
Instagram, AJAYHERICK, and Twitter, the same handle. Facebook, AJ Herrick. Send me a request, send me a message telling me where you're from, or not where you're from, but where you heard me at. And I will respond as quickly as possible. What about you, Andrew?
I'm on Twitter and Facebook at Vorpality, VORPALITY. You can get at me there, or you can read my Midnight Mania series on MMAmania.com. Okay.
All right.
And we will see you next week.
Next week.
And MMA Outsiders are out.
Bye-bye. Are we gone?